Justin Trudeau confusing tax dollars with Liberal dollars. Once again, I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. I'm not sure where Justin Trudeau thinks that tax dollars come from, but I think I know where he feels they go or should go, and that is as often as possible towards his needs or the needs of the Liberal Party. Latest example, we've obtained the expense reports from the Privy Council office for the Prime Minister's trip to Medicine Hat, Alberta, for the by-election last October. Now, if you don't speak the dialect known as official Ottawanese, well, you may be wondering, what's this all about? What's the Privy Council office, huh? PCO? Well, the Privy Council office, or the PCO, is the Prime Minister's department. They're supposed to be non-partisan bureaucrats, and yet in this latest release of documents, it shows bureaucrats spending time putting together briefing notes for what was a political partisan trip, and two bureaucrats being sent out to record everything that Trudeau did and shipping Government of Canada gear to do it, all at huge cost to you, the taxpayer. Now, normally, prime ministers don't campaign in by-elections. Trudeau keeps doing that, and he keeps losing. Speaking with several people that have long memories on Parliament Hill, no one can recall past PMs campaigning. I mean, Stephen Harper didn't do it, Paul Martin didn't do it, Jean Chrétien didn't do it. The best we can tell is you might have to go back to Brian Mulroney campaigning to save Lucienne Bouchard in a by-election for an example, and look at how that turned out for the country. One of the reasons that PMs don't jet across the country to campaign in local by-election races is that it costs an awful lot of money to move a prime minister. And while not all of that cost has to go against the local candidate's spending limit, much of it does. We all understand you can't ding the local campaign for the cost of the PM security detail. He travels everywhere with them. And that includes the cost of his private jet. But the commercial equivalent of him and all his political staff going, that's supposed to be included, along with many, many other costs added in. And when you can only spend a little over $100,000, having the PM show up and eat up $10,000 or more of the budget may not be the best use of resources. So this isn't normally done, but Trudeau isn't normal at all. So in addition to what we already know and have reported about this, that the Trudeau campaign flew out his body man, Tommy DeFosse, senior advisor, Matthew Bouchard, deputy director of communications, Oliver Duchesneau, his press secretary, Amanda Lynn Hall. He also had the Challenger jet from Ottawa to Montreal to pick up Liberal Party President Anna Gainey before flying to Medicine Hat directly on our dime. Now, on top of that, Trudeau had two staffers from the Privy Council office fly out ahead of his visit in order to set things up. Remember, the sole purpose of flying to Medicine Hat is to campaign for the local Liberal candidate in the by-election. There's no Government of Canada business. Yet off the two bureaucrats go, Jared Malloly and Eric Bézinet. It's not their fault they're going, they're just doing what they're told. But why are they going? Based on their job descriptions and the emails I've seen, it's to capture video and audio recordings of what the PM's doing at these Liberal campaign events. Now, I want to hammer home this distinction. These are not political staffers. These folks are not like Adam Scotty, the PM's personal photographer. Adam Scotty's job is paid for by the public, but it's considered a political job. These two men heading to Medicine Hat are part of the supposedly non-partisan public service. I'm not saying that in their travels to Medicine Hat that they're being partisan, but I have to question why they would be sent by their superiors to record Liberal campaign events. Now, before these two men leave for Medicine Hat, there's a rush order to get the gear they need from Ottawa to Calgary, where it will be picked up at an airport hangar and then driven by Eric and Jared to Medicine Hat in the rental car they picked up. So in addition to taxpayers spending several thousands of dollars to get these two men to Medicine Hat with flights, cab and Uber fares, hotel rooms, meals for 3 days, we also picked up the tab for more than $4,000 for FedEx to ship the audio-visual gear on rush order to Calgary so that they could record the event, the Liberal partisan event. Shouldn't this be at party expense? Shouldn't the Liberal Party be paying for this? Why are taxpayers spending, $8,000 to $10,000 to have video recordings of Justin Trudeau campaigning in a by-election? When did that become a function of government? Unless you think I'm joking that we flew two bureaucrats and government equipment across the country to record party events, look at the emails back to Ottawa as they upload material and tell the folks at Hill and Knowlton's transcription service, which the PMO and the PCO use, that there's no need to transcribe these videos. Evening of October 13th, Jared Malloly to the folks at H&K. Title, PM at Liberal event, Stan Sakamoto, Medicine Hat, Alberta, Thursday, October 13th, blah, blah, blah. He wrote, there should be one more uploaded that's also considered a Liberal Party event tomorrow morning around 9:30 or 10 a.m.-ish. Thank you. Then another email just before 11 a.m. on October 14th. Another email from Maloli to H&K, PM at Liberal Event, Medicine Hat, Alberta, Friday, October 14th. As Tris stated yesterday evening, this is another Liberal Party event, so no transcription necessary. Well, thank heavens for small mercies. At least they're saving us the cost of having all of this transcribed. But the big question is, why are they doing this at all? Do you remember the sound and fury over then Cabinet Minister Pierre Poilievre taking bureaucrats from his department around Ottawa to record a video for the revised child tax benefit? That was denounced for days, weeks even, and that was for an actual government program. But the Liberals, the NDP, their hallelujah chorus in the media thought this was the biggest story ever, and that, well, the video was so obviously partisan, the public bureaucrats, nonpartisan bureaucrats never should have touched that. Yet here we have actual partisan videos of partisan events captured by non-partisan bureaucrats that we send across the country at great expense to taxpayers. If you think this is nitpicking or small potatoes, it's not. It's part of a pattern of the Liberals not knowing where the line is between government business and party business, between government funds and party funds. Government funds come from you. Party funds come from donors. Now, in this release of files, we also discovered bureaucrats producing a background briefing for Prime Minister Trudeau on the economic situation in southern Alberta. The report prepared not by the very competent Liberal Research Bureau, but instead by senior bureaucrats who went into detail on the employment situation in Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, into detail on infrastructure spending promises, the affordable housing situation, the general economic outlook. There would be no problem with the bureaucrats drawing up a briefing note like this and giving it to the PM if it was for a normal Government of Canada trip, but it wasn't. This was a partisan trip to do party business. Why are they doing this? These two things are supposed to be separate. Liberals have gotten themselves into trouble on this sort of thing before, and Trudeau's just following in those well-trodden footsteps. They have sent cabinet ministers across the country to do fundraisers, and then they find a small event to make it public business so that taxpayers pick up the dime for what is essentially a fundraising trip. Trudeau himself set the entitlement tone off the top with one of his first acts, putting the nannies on the public payroll. He took 10 vacations last year, costing you a lot of money for him to do so. He's off to Broadway again for another special trip to see a play, and that's going to cost you a pretty penny. And he made sure to include Gainey and Liberal bagman Stephen Bronfman on the guest list for the White House state dinner in Washington, D.C. To Justin Trudeau, your money is his money. There is no line. Guess we all just have to remember that we work hard to support him and the Liberal Party in the lifestyle they've grown accustomed to. If you like the video you just watched and never miss a Rebel video again, click here to subscribe.